go. Because we'll have to sit and wait for the stream to update to see if it's actually changed. Yes, it has. Brilliant. Hello, everybody. Oh, it's been a while. How are we all doing? Nice to see some people in chat. Yes, I can, and welcome again. Nice to see new faces. Always, it's good to have new people coming along. Yeah. So Ekko is a roguelike that I'm making, similar to Spelunky and Downwell. The main kind of things that I'm gonna hook onto it with it now, since I've done a kind of redesign from last year when I lost the whole project due to file corruption. Most of it's going to be based around the lore of the world in the tower. I'm trying to build a world within this game, rather than just having a roguelike where you're, you know, playing as an arbitrary character. You exist in a world where this tower is a thing, and people, you know, there's things involved with the tower. So that's the lore side of things. But as far as the mechanics go, in terms of combat, you've not got much extra other than Mario style jumping on the head of enemies and sliding into things, as well as some cool platforming stuff like wall jumping, speed boosting, and basically just some physics based platforming to make movement and attack combo chaining a little more interesting. So as far as games go, it's not massively innovative, I must say, but I'm hoping I can hook onto some more interesting aspects with the... Jeez, my throat. Jeez, there we go. I'm hoping I can hook onto some more interesting aspects with the lore and the art style specifically. Make a really nice looking and nice artsy roguelike game that's a fun world to exist in, rather than a brutal challenge that will wipe you out minute after minute, even though that is going to be much the case for a lot of stuff. So just as a bit of an information as well for anybody who is new or anybody else who is new, welcome to the channel. If you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing if you enjoy the stream, or head over and watch the devlog playlist that we've got already. There's 5 episodes in that, and I am like 2 weeks behind on making one because I've been busy, but yeah, do consider checking out and consider subscribing. I'm looking to do a basic alpha release of the game in 2 weeks time, where we're going to be doing a live stream playing the first world of the game, which we're going to be working on today, and hopefully getting some stuff out to you guys. And I'd like to hit 200 subs by then, so if you are happy and willing, I would much appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. Yes, please, if you are happy to give me ideas and feedback. That is, can never get too much of that. All the feedback and input is appreciated very, very greatly. So, the aim for today, if you are new to the channel, it won't be very weird to you what's on screen at the moment, but if you've been watching for a while, you'll know this isn't what the game looked like at all. A devlog, it looked more like a... Hold on, let's see if I've got a... Oops, let's see if I've got a GIF here. Let's get rid of that. Probably got something on my... in my file system somewhere. See if I can get my order, get my things in order. Devlogs, let's go devlog 3 and look at our media, because that'll have some. There we go. So this is what the game looked like back at the end of Christmas, the end of the year. Very much so different to how it looks now, but actually, yeah, this is great for new people in the stream. This is kind of more or less where the game was in its very early stages. I've been working on it for about a month, with full-time work and university alongside, so it's kind of hard getting stuff done, but we've got procedural generation of levels, some code that was in the devlog, but there should be some video of me going through the world at some point and explaining things. Or maybe not. Yeah, here we go. So, kind of this linear tower type structure, which I'm going to be moving away from, because when I was certainly playing it and testing it out, it didn't feel good at all having it like that. So we need to do something a bit better. In terms of what we're going to be doing today, though, we're going to be looking mainly at visual stuff. So if I hit play, one of the major things that I've done since the last update is add multiplayer support using Unity's system. So we've got player 1 here who can run about and looks really nice and springy and juicy. And if I just grab my PlayStation controller real quick, hit the button on here, depending on if it's got battery or not. It's definitely not got battery. Damn it! If I had another controller, I'd be able to plug it in the back of the computer, hit a button, and it would add the player to the screen, and you'd be able to run about. It would have a player 2 icon over the top, you know, pretty standard multiplayer stuff. But this is kind of where we're at now, in terms of rebuilding the project from the ground up, literally, since everything disappeared. As far as current lore goes, the name itself comes from the Greek mythology around Ekko, who was a nymph on the mountains, who was cursed after... who was it? I think it was Zeus. Zeus was doing questionable things with the nymphs on the mountains, and Zeus's at the time lover was like, no, can't be having that, and cursed all of the nymphs involved, Ekko being one of them, who defended Zeus during that happening, and the curse placed on her was to repeat everything said back. I'm toying with a way that I can incorporate a similar kind of story, or some sort of sad underlying or dark background behind this shadowy dark character at the bottom of the tower, and whatever it is that's calling them to the top of said tower. It's kind of like Hollow Knight in some ways, in terms of the character's motive. They're this kind of non-memory lacking in memory character with just a desire to climb to the top of this tower for whatever reason. So that's as much of the lore as I'm willing to give away at the moment, because a lot of it is going to be through character dialogue between levels and talking to shopkeepers as well, and things that I want to have be discovered. And because I leave the live streams up, even though a lot of it is probably going to change, I don't want too much of that to get leaked and spoilt. Yeah, exactly. Sort of a discovery type storyline, yeah. Do I use Sebastian Leg's 2D character controller? Yes, I do, and I have modified it as well. We can have a look, actually. I've got it open over here. I'm using Thomas Brush's Super Simple Game Kit as well, 2D Game Kit, making some modifications to that again, because a lot of it is kind of not how I like to do things, and a lot of the functionality that's in there doesn't behave for what I want to do. So, for example, the player controller that I'm using doesn't fit with any of that. And then I've got my old code as well, which I'm copying stuff over from, that I'm definitely going to keep. So if we take a speedy look at our player controller, the player controller is split up into 3 sections mainly. We have the game manager, which handles instances of a player controller, so up to 4 for the multiplayer. The player controller is then this separate class which handles any input for the player either inside the game or in menus. Because of the way that Unity's new input system works, I can't have multiple instances of the player input module all over the place, or it doesn't handle that player input very well. You end up with different controls mapping themselves to different places. Suddenly a door somewhere might not work, or a button in a menu might not work, or something like that. So I've created this single class to act as a central hub for managing player entities and their movement in the game, player interaction with menus, and anything else that might involve input with the player in the game. So this has an ID assigned to it for obviously which player in the game it is, so that can be displayed on screen and used for the player controller, which is created using this method here. And then the player entity itself, here we go, is pretty damn close to Sebastian Lake's character controller, aside from some slight updates for the new input system, as I mentioned, and also sliding specifically, and being able to freeze as well, so I can do things like some cool hit effects and making sure everything freezes when the game is paused. So the player is actually a child class of this entity class, which handles most of the physics stuff. I've basically just taken it and split it out into a load of different places. Most of the core functionality in it is very much so identical to Sebastian Lake's 2D platformer tutorial, because I can't fault that controller at all. It's amazing. You know, absolutely top notch, but I've just abstracted it a little bit to make it better for my purposes and my usage, certainly seeing as that tutorial series was in Unity 5 and we're now in Unity 2019 for me. No, I don't have a Metroidvania type system, so because it's a roguelike, I don't want it to be a case that any upgrades are like, you do, because obviously when you die in a roguelike, that's it, you die, you lose everything, you start from scratch. That kind of mechanic in a Metroidvania would be unbelievably frustrating, especially if you've gotten to like floor 5 of the tower and you've just gotten the ultra power super boots or whatever that make you practically invincible, and then you die and you lose all of that. You'd be like, God, I've wasted my time. So the only form of item upgrade that you get is through shops. You get currency by killing creatures, obviously, and also going through bonus tasks. There'll be some special platforming rooms which are particularly difficult to maneuver and will have chests or special unlockable items at the end of them, which give you a large amount of currency. And then you use that to buy items within the dungeon. So there's 3 types of items: health items, which heal you or change your maximum health; movement items, which are just the way the player can move throughout the world, either move speed, jump height, or things like double jumping; and then damage objects, which will affect the player's defense or the player's ability to deal damage to other things, each of which obviously will be balanced respectively for the area, the type of monsters they might attack, and how much they cost. So there'll always be a shop in every level. You might have to go out your way to find it, but there will always be one in every level. No problem, no problem. Hopefully it was a helpful answer. Are there various enemies, or do they just get stronger as you progress? Perfect question to ask, because my plan is to start working on some enemies in this this stream. There are various enemy types. The 2 that I've got, or well, the 3 that I've got to start with are a crawler, a stuttered crawler, and a flyer. Actually, yeah, and the shooting flyer as well, so 4. We got 4. The crawler, which is the very most basic, is just a little thing that crawls backwards and forwards. When it hits a wall or a ledge, it'll turn and walk in the other direction. Doesn't do anything to go out of its way to injure the player on purpose. You just would have to walk into it or be really bad at platforming to take damage from it. The stuttered crawler is much the same, except it will randomly stop and start moving at any given moment. It will just be walking along and then decide to stop. It might then change direction and go again, or it might just keep going in the same direction. The flyer is a creature which follows a kind of patrol type movement system. It will move around a set path until the player gets within a certain range, at which point it will start chasing, and then when the player exits that range, it will move back to where its path is and keep flying. And then the shooting flyer is going to be similar, except it will hover at a distance and fire projectiles instead of chasing the player to try and attack them physically. So what I wanted to do today was, if we have time, we're going to stream for probably 2 hours, and we've already been going for like nearly half an hour, and it's been loads of questions coming in, so that's awesome. I like interacting with you guys. It's really cool, really fun. But what I want to do today is take this first world which I've got here and polish it up a bit. So add some things like trees in the background, maybe change the color of the sky as well, and add some shadows and some like I say, just extra polish around here in Photoshop, and then get it exported and layered up correctly with the Parallax system that I've nabbed from Thomas, so that we've got this nice little play area that we can start testing some stuff in. So we'll be starting that in Illustrator, making the trees, which I have some of in the background. Aha! But they're a bit chunky and the color ain't great. So we're gonna work on these kinds of things, like fixing up some colors. And to be fair, it doesn't look too bad. It's just a bit dark, especially if the player were to move over the top. Like if I unlock this real quick, there's a glow on my player in this one, but if I disable that that glow, it gets a bit too close. Yeah, I was thinking going from bottom to top, we're going to progress from like this first area. The music in the background, by the way, is the music for this first area. The Undergrowth is what it's called, which is supposed to be this nice kind of safe feeling forest area, really luscious, with kind of docile creatures, similar to Green Path in Hollow Knight. There'll be a lot of references to Hollow Knight. I'm a massive Hollow Knight fan. But similar in practice to that. And as you move up the tower, you'll progress through it being daytime to sunset and then to night as you get towards the top, before you face the final boss at the ending. But that's not going to be in the demo. The demo is literally going to be this first area and a boss, because I have 2 weeks. 2 weeks to do everything. I've not left myself a lot of time, but I am a sucker for punishment, so that's what you get for being that way. Right. And also about Jumper, yeah, there will probably be a Jumper one as well. Much in a similar way to the crawlers. It will just kind of hop and then stay put, or maybe just kind of wander until the player gets near and jump towards it, but I'll think about that when I get to it. For the time being, we're gonna get straight back in and work on some art stuff. So, like I say, I'm actually quite happy with the way these trees are looking. I think probably the thing to do will be to shrink them down a bit, and obviously add in some darker leaves, which I'll probably take from this. Oopsie daisy, let's not do that. Probably take from this, and we'll just darken that down a bit. I kind of want it to be a little closer to this green actually, so we're gonna grab this one and make it well dark. Maybe like that, something like that. See how that looks. Perhaps they could. I think anything background I'm going to keep background, because I want to create a really nice sense of depth as well, just from a aesthetic purpose. Aesthetic point of view, I want to make sure everything's I want to make it feel like I said, like a really nice world, like a full immersive environment that you exist in. So anything in the background will definitely remain background, and anything in the foreground will definitely remain foreground. But I do have things like these little bushes here. Let's move this foliage up. These little bushes here, which I intend on animating, and having it so that when the player runs past, they do a little wave to make the world feel a bit more alive. Should we do that today? Actually, who would be interested in seeing how you'd go about doing that in Unity? Because it's actually more simple than I think most people would think it is. It's certainly much more simple than I would have thought. Yes, definitely. Lots and lots of cool, fun creatures hanging out in the background for certain and sure. I'm going to add some stuff like... Have you heard of Thomas Brush before, or seen any of his games, like Neversong or Pinstripe? That's a bit. Yeah, so I'm not feeling this green. Not feeling this green at all. But that's okay. We can have a play, have a little fiddle. Just make sure everything that I need to be locked is locked. Everything. Background. There we go. Right. Yes. Let's take it like right down so it's nice and dark in the back there. I think the sky needs to change colour as well, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's maybe bring this layer down a bit too. Cool, yeah. So Neversong specifically, in the Neverwood Cemetery, he has these cool little flies that sort of drift about the place with little trails behind them. I want to have some things similar to that, or things like in Spelunky where you have the little rats and spiders crawling across the floor. I'll probably pick some more cute looking creatures than rats for this world specifically, because like I say, I want it to feel really homely, and I don't know how homely I'd consider rats to be. Why are you there? You should be on this layer. There we go. So I'm just creating some kind of backgroundy leaves here, which it's important that I fill all of the space, especially as this is going to be, it's going to be parallaxed in Unity, so I need to make sure there's no like major dead zones behind these trees. So I'm literally just going in with the circle tool and creating some circles to kind of look like bushes. And I'm thinking the sky needs to change color as well. What do you reckon? I kind of feel like it's a bit too bright, I think, but I'm not sure. Yes, 100%, 100%. Vines is a brilliant idea. Gonna move the placement of the sun as well, because I quite like the sun. I want it to be quite apparent in the background. You know, I reckon we're probably gonna do a solid 3 or 4 layers of trees in the background as well. Trees and hills. Hi, Adam. It's just for YouTuber watchers. I'm streaming on Twitch as well. And that's usually where my friends tend to watch, is over on Twitch, and they give me some entertaining ideas a lot of the time. Right, let's hop back onto our above layer. Just gonna grab this. Let's fix the colour of this one first. Grab my circle tool again. Start filling in some of these gaps, and I'm going to just bring down some more circles over here as well, so the space is a bit more filled. in a natural kind of feeling way. So the way I'm doing this is cool because of how I plan on doing the new world generation system. If I'm going to make it so that I can literally just design all of my scenes, all of the potential scenes in Illustrator, spritz them up a bit in Photoshop, and then just drag and drop them into Unity. And as long as I have a rule for the scaling and how things can fit together, it should work perfectly. Yo, good to see you again. How you doing? Hope you are well. There's a lot of space in the background which I'm filling unnecessarily because we'll do that in Photoshop. I am just going to go in and mess with this background gradient a little bit. Let's have a look on my browser. See if we can find a cool forest sky. Feel like this isn't going to give me much of what I want. That's probably quite close. I imagine these are quite small on the stream screen because I'm running a 5K iMac. Good. Yes, absolutely. Get some. I'll get some ambience. One thing's cool. I'll tell you what, because I've got this music playing in the background just in Logic. I've got this little ambience in the background, which is more audible in the first part of the song where it's just the percussion. Let's just drop that back down again. It's just subtly in the background there, and I plan, yeah, like you say, to have like things like water ambience and leaf rustling and things like that in the background to keep the world feeling nice and full. That's a good question. I haven't thought about it, to be fair. I wanted to introduce a day-night cycle type thing, similar to kind of like dark levels in Spelunky. And I was gonna be a bit ambitious and kind of map that to real world time. So, for example, one day in. Oops, that's the wrong layer. I want to stick something in the background. What was I saying? For example, one day in the tower is equal to 30 minutes in real life, or 10 minutes in real life, something like that. And obviously, you'd end up with a darker background, like a different kind of blacky gradient, or possibly like a like a less sunshiny looking gradient, and the sun would be gone, obviously, which I'm actually just going to move over here. That's nice, and we'll actually stick the sun under the background layer so that it stays in the same place. But yeah, I don't know about a weather system, mainly because I don't know what it would bring to the game other than ambience. And being an indie dev and wanting to have this game pretty much finished or in a playable state by the end of the year, I don't want to spend too much time doing aesthetic features as far as programming goes, if that makes sense. I want to spend more of my time working on the gameplay systems and then creating the ambience and feel of the game through sound effects and artwork and whatnot. No, not at all. It's really nice to have interaction with people during the stream. I know you said it's your first one, but often, you know, we don't get huge numbers being a small channel, and conversation in chat can often be quite quiet. So it's nice to have people chatting in the stream. Very nice indeed. It means I can, you know, it's like a sounding board to bounce ideas off, which is always better than working on stuff by yourself. without a doubt. Grab my circle tool and just fill in that gap there. Whoops. And I think let's create another little couple or two in here. Possibly one there as well. Just some little ones to fill in the space a bit more. Tell you what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to just disable the play zone. Actually, no, let's keep the play zone. Let's just disable the bushes so we can just see the trees. So it's interesting when you take all of the layers out how bare it can look. But like I say, we want to create a whole bunch of depth. So I'm kind of happy with that. I think I want to shrink down the trees a little bit, like I said before, because they are supposed to be background things. So let's grab, oopsie daisy, let's grab our foreground layer. We're just gonna lock our leaves so that I don't accidentally tweak those, and also lock our background so I don't tweak that. And I'm just gonna grab the trees and do a little scale down, holding shift of course, and move them up to about here-ish, I think. Yeah. And let's just edit this shape so that it's still taking up the entire thing. So I don't want to delete that. Pen tool, click, and we're going to go to here and just do a curve. Oopsie daisy, I let go of it early. Do a curve like so, and then close that shape off very messily because we don't need to be neat about it. And then we will create a new shape from that. And I'm just going to grab the rectangle tool, stick it across here. Let's move it across a bit more actually. Grab this one, properties. There we go. And that's just cut off the end there so it's all one object. How long will this first wall be? I'm thinking 4 or 5 levels. So not massive. Playtime wise it should take, if you're speed running it or if you're moving fast, it should take 5 minutes to get through one level. So if I think about terminology, a level is like in Spelunky like a single level, and then a floor would be your equivalent to the world. So it would be 4 levels and a boss, basically, or 5 levels and a boss with maybe 2 to 5 minutes of compulsory playtime per level. So I guess maybe like 30 minutes. Which possibly feels too long. But I don't know, we'll see. We'll see when I do some playtesting how long that actually feels. Let's move that sun again. I'm not happy with where he is. Come here, mate. Come here. It's going to be hard to find a place for the sun because of all these trees. That's cool. That's cool. Let's unlock this one, lock this one, and lock our background again so I don't accidentally tweak that. Shrink down these boys. Stick them possibly somewhere like here. Let's just sort out the colouring of that one as well. Nope, not T. What's that? V. Remember that shortcut? Yeah, every level's themed. So the first one's a foresty type level. I haven't thought particularly about the order that I want things to go in, but I definitely want some kind of desert-like level, which will probably be the second, to be fair. It will probably go something like forest, desert, mountain, sky, because, you know, you're climbing a tower, so progressively it would make sense for the world to kind of get higher up. So yeah, that kind of makes sense to me, having it be in that sort of order. What was I saying? Yeah. So each of those themes, and that theme again will mainly take place in the background and foreground elements. So the actual world itself will always be made up of these kind of black cubes. Tundra, he says. It's not a bad shout, actually. Tundra would be nice. Maybe stick that in with the mountains, because snowy mountains are beautiful. Ain't that right? Ain't that right, Alan? And that would be a nice aesthetic, actually. And I could make a nice theme for that. Whoopsie daisy. No! Oh, messed up my selection. Select. Select, select. As you can tell, I'm not very proficient in Illustrator. I'm getting better, but it's probably like my 10th time actually using it properly. Possibly not even. Can't tell if you're mocking me or not. I wouldn't be surprised. Go in here and edit that one. Cool. And then I'm going to do the same kind of thing here, except we're going to make it a little bit lighter, just slightly, fractionally lighter. Because what I don't want to do is end up with my trees being the same colour as these foreground bushes. That would not be ideal. My guy, mountains are where it's at. Mountains are a happy place. Can never go wrong with a good mountain. A good mountain. Right, let's create some more of these. Actually, I tell you what, let's do the foreground ones first. I say foreground, I mean front layer. So we are going to make this a fair bit lighter, actually. Yeah, that's cool. Why are you in front of the bushes? Why is he in front of the bushes? He's not in front of the bushes. I'm just being an idiot. Ugh. Honestly. Name all the mountains. Oh, that's funny, actually. My sister has been doing mountains in England, in the UK even, in geography at school. So I could name the 4 tallest mountains in the UK, being Scafell Pike, Ben Nevis, Snowdon, and Slieve Donard, or however you say it. Have at ye, sir. Will there be animals in the foreground that react to you? Yeah, 100%. As much of that interactive kind of stuff as I can get will be in there. Yeah, like you say, things like birds and little animals that kind of just hang about and react to the player existing. Or players existing, because obviously it's multiplayer now, which is really nice. I'm well chuffed about that. Right, let's go back to this layer. I'm going to pick a colour slightly in the middle or something like that, maybe. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, stop making it on the wrong layer. I want to be on this layer behind the tree. There we go. And we are going to pick something in the middle. Oh, the boss fight I've got in mind is awesome, if I do say so myself. So I'm going to do it kind of like Gungeon, Enter the Gungeon, where each world kind of has a random set of bosses that it could select from. Maybe like a handful of 3 to 5 bosses that you could end up encountering, except for the final boss, obviously, which will always be the final boss. But the main boss that I want to get into this demo is like a centipede boss. Because I feel like, you know, an insect, bug, centipede thing fits very nicely with the forest theme. So it's, yeah, like I say, this big ass centipede that's kind of crawls in and out of the walls and smashes through the floor and stuff. And the idea is that the player can jump on these different, you know, standard practice, different special hit spots on the centipede's body as it moves through, or slams into the ground. So as far as boss style goes, I'm thinking kind of Zelda style bosses rather than Metroidvania roguelike bosses, just because of the way I like to do things, you know. I want them to be more friendly for people like myself who aren't very good at games. Whoops. There we go. This is shaping up nicely. We've got some good layers forming here. Yeah, maybe. I want to have certainly things like, you know, the Hollow Knight lore tablets that you have. Things like that, little interactables that sit in places where there's less danger, that you can interact with, and they'll display a bit of dialogue. Or there's going to be characters in the game as well that you can interact with, like similar to the like the cave digger, I think he's called. The guy who did Tunnel Digger, the Tunnel Man, that's it, the Tunnel Man in Spelunky. There's going to be a character much like that, who at the moment in my head is taking the form of a spider. But he will be like a person who can climb the tower, or take you higher in the tower. Probably someone who works in the tower, if that gives you something. But this character will tell things much like a character in a story would, and that'll go in there. I probably won't do that, just for the same reason that I said at the start of the stream, that I don't want to spoil lore. I'll keep at any given stream, I will always be like, yes, talk to me about lore, because especially when I get the Discord server and Patreon set up, which is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'll announce it properly when it actually does happen, but I'm gonna set up a Discord server and a Patreon, and things like that will probably have more integration with things that actually happen in the game, or more heavy-weighted things like a Patreon specific section of the game where top tier Patreons will have their name listed, or actual character suggestions, or things like kind of like they did for the Kickstarter in Hollow Knight, things like that. But I don't want to have too much final lore or close to final lore discussed in streams, for the simple reason that I don't want spoilers for the lore, because it kind of takes away from a lot of what I want playing the game to be about. Not just playing the game for the gameplay, but playing it for the world in which everything exists. If that makes sense. Look at this. It's looking well lush. Lush as in like full of forest, not lush like chavvy good. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a new layer to go in front of these trees, and one more layer of trees and also change up the background a bit, and then we're going to move over to Photoshop for some shading. I have to sit and hope my Wi-Fi doesn't go down at any point. Not that it should, because we had a guy come fix it. Look at that! Look at that! It's going great. So it's just my laptop lagging. I'm a bit paranoid because I usually have the stream go down because my Wi-Fi used to be shoddy, which was because the plugs. The plugs! I kid you not. The plugs in the wall, and they were causing issues. I should also name my layers, would be smart. Colours I'm going to stick right up at the top. Player is player, bushes 1, bushes 2, bushes 3. What's this? This is a layer that doesn't even show up. What is that? Tell you what, I'll delete it, because I don't know what it is. Oh, I just remembered what it is. Never mind. I'll keep deleting stuff, because it's not important. Ref is reference photos. We can delete that, because they aren't in there anyway. This is leaves 1, which I'm actually going to make trees 1, a sub-layer of trees 1, he says. No, I'm not. Not yet. Leaves 2. Oh, we'll stick some particle systems and stuff in there as well. Don't worry, I've got the vines in mind. We're going to do them in Unity itself, because in Unity I can make them physics based and have it so that when the player bumps into them they do a little swing, and I think we can do that using the line renderer or object. I'll have to think of a way to make it not impact on performance too much, but don't you worry, I have them very much so in mind. Trees 2 and leaves 4, and then we are going to do a final layer of trees, which it's going to be a bit of effort. Let's see here. Let's lock everything that we got. You know what? We might do these ones a little bit fancy as well. Like some curvy trees. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. This is trees 3. Nope, not 2. 3. I've got to keep in, or like try not to make it crowded as well, is an issue. I suppose the good thing is, yeah, no, never mind. We are good. Whoops. Let's do that, and we are going to change the color again to something a little bit lighter with a little bit more saturation. That's probably too far, but that's fine. We're going to do a fun technique at the end. Add a new point. Oh, ooh, that's cool. I didn't know I could do that. Whoopsie daisy. Look at that, we got some bendy trees. That's cool. So we'll have like an extra layer of canopy leaves going under the bottom here. It might be worth just taking all of them and raising them up a bit, to be fair, because it is looking a tad crowded on here. But we shall roll with it. I think let's Control CV. We're gonna switch this one around, maybe make it a bit thinner as well. I'll stick this one somewhere in the background over here. Maybe one more over this way, a little bit thinner again, and possibly let's add in a second curve. Whoa, He's getting jammy now. It's going to be an interesting one. In fact, we might make him even thinner. Just so we can stick out somewhere like here, and we'll have these boys sitting a little bit higher up as well, because we'll create some more floors. 2 versions of each levels, a day version and a night version. Yeah, pretty much. It'll be like light and dark levels in Spelunky, or Noah from Blackthorn Prod's Dashing Fire. He's got some dark levels in there as well, and we'll do it in a similar kind of way, something like that. Absolutely gonna have God rays. We'll do those in Photoshop again though. I'll create like a specific God ray file, because we'll animate it and then just drag and drop them about the place. But 100%, you've read my mind there, mate. God rays. I wonder if anyone's still watching on Twitch. I haven't actually been watching. Could still have Adam over there. I think that's exactly what we've got. Unless the stream went down, I'm honestly not sure. I should have this under art really on Twitch, shouldn't I? Because we are just doing art at the moment and have been for the past like forever. Right, what am I doing? We are disabling everything for the moment, and we're going to just look at the sky. The sky. We'll keep the bushes in. I'll disable the player. I'll tell you what, let's keep in some of the trees and the leaves. And that one. Re-enable the colours, and we're going to build a gradient out of this this background. I was reading the Twitch chat. Nothing was coming through for me. Maybe my app is busted. Perhaps I can have mushrooms that light up the way in the night forest. Yes. Full certain and sure. These little purple sticks, I want to have them be like some glowy mushroom type things, or some orange things as well. And that foliage. Did I delete the foliage? Oh no, I think I deleted the foliage. Or did I like stick it under the player? Or yeah, I stuck it under the player by accident. That's alright. Let's just move him out to play zone. Can I not do that? Do I need you unlocked? Yeah, there we go. That's better. I'm just going to delete some of these extra gubbins that I was playing about with. Delete that. And you, I want to delete you. Why can't I delete you? Because you're not on that layer. You're on the player layer? What layer is that on? What layer is that on? What? I have no idea what layer that's on. Trees 2. There we go. Oh, itchy eye. Yeah, absolutely. You're reading my mind completely on things I'm gonna do. We're gonna add some kind of silhouetted foreground elements, and things like swaying bushes in the background and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Animating some extra trees, having, like you say, creatures in the background, loads of stuff like that. It's gonna be a luscious environment that we're playing about in. What am I doing? Background. Let's do that. So we want to edit this gradient, and I want it to be a little bit darker. Let's go back over to here, to the internet, and see if we can find anything. Nice. Or I could be cheeky. And do that. I think this was actually my reference photo for colours in the first place. Because I really like the colours of Green Path. It's probably not as warm as I'd want it to be, so we might take these colours and then hue shift them slightly towards red. And use it like that, in which case I can use these colours in here. I've just got to make sure I make them different enough. Nope. That is disgusting. Look at that, it's horrible. Looks kind of toxic if I take it towards green. Let's try desaturating a bit and upping the brightness. It's a bit better, kind of, not really. It's tricky. Colours are not my forte. I'll be quite honest. I mean, the best thing to do for colours is to grab a picture that's kind of got the vibe that I want. So let's try blue twilight sky, something like that. I spelled twilight wrong. Look at this. There's some nice ones here. That's lovely. It's a bit too blue though. Can we get like a teal twilight sky? It's getting closer. Kind of. How long are we going? We're going for an hour. Nice. I don't want something too dark. Maybe I should add some clouds. I probably won't, just because of overcrowding. I don't want there to be too many elements taking up space, because at the moment we've got 3 layers of bush and then layers of leaves in the trees, which there's going to be 2 more of still, and the layers of trees themselves and the sun. I don't want to take up so much of that space that we end up with like no sky showing through whatsoever. Maybe I could just leave it with that kind of sunset sky. It's quite nice actually. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, what next? Let's make a floor layer in front of these first set of trees. Nope, not a gradient. Let's do normal color. Eyedropper tool. Grab our pen tool. And I'm just going to come in and kind of drag some shapes out. Which I'll be honest, I can't see them very well. Whoops. Bit of lag. And you'll notice there's gaps in the floor. But that is okay, because we're going to fill them in Photoshop. fix this point. 'Cause he's well wonky. Will there be different enemies? Probably not. They might have some different aesthetic. Like at night time, they might, like you say, they might have maybe incorporate some of those glowing mushrooms into their visual style. But as far as the enemies themselves, that would be again too much work for not enough payoff. It's important when you're doing everything yourself as a solo dev to be smart about the things you do. And when I know I need to get this game done at some point, relatively sharpish, I have to think about what scope creep is worth my time. I did a video on scope creep recently, actually, which kind of talks about the same stuff, and just making sure that as much as compromising vision is alright, you don't want to keep adding new stuff to the point where it jeopardizes the project, which I fear I will end up doing if I keep getting excited about potential new features, because that's certainly been something that's caused me downfall in the past, is coming up with really ambitious games, really ambitious features, really ambitious systems, and ending up never getting anything done or never achieving what I want to achieve. And my friends all vouch for the fact that I've started so many projects and only finished one of them, which was a game jam that I did when I was 15. So I definitely want to break that cycle. And I've somewhat learnt my lesson these days. Okay, let's do these. Do this final layer of leaves, which is going to be super dark, I guess. And then we can move over to Photoshop. This is probably going to be the whole stream now, so it's a good thing that I named the stream World Building. World Building. It's a good thing I named it World Building, because we're probably not going to get up to much else other than world design and world building. So we're just going to continue to desaturate these, or no, we're going to increase the saturation on these leaves and just darken ever so slightly, because I don't want it to get too black. But we do want them to obviously be a fair bit different to these leaves in front. We'll continue to create these large leafy canopies. Whoops. I don't want to go too far down, because again, I don't want to clutter up too much of the space. I still want some of that nice background to shine through. But we can definitely have it closing off to the side here, like that. Nah, honestly, don't apologize. Questions is what we need, because, you know, a question, you might ask me a question like, wait a minute, why have you only got 5 enemies? Or something like that, and I'll be like, oh yeah, good point. Because, you know, just as easy as it is for me to fall into the trap of scope creep, it's equally as easy for me to make a massive oversight and create a stupid mistake, especially when you're, you know, when you get tunnel vision with a project that you put in loads of your spare time into it, and it's like it can almost become your baby, which, in the words of Thomas Brush, it's not your baby, it's a game. It's not that big a deal, but especially with me having a full-time job as well, and there's a lot of things that I end up sacrificing time-wise to work on Ekko, like, you know, taking time to play games with my friends, or spending time with my girlfriend, or doing music because I'm a musician, and you know, things like that do take a bit of a back seat because I need to... Oh, I drew all of them on the wrong layer. Never mind, I'll fix that in a minute. Yeah, things like that do take a back seat because I'm like, I want to be doing this as a career long term, ideally. In the future, I want this to be how I make my living. And it takes time to build a community and an audience that can help me sustain that kind of lifestyle, and I can easily get into a position where I'm like, oh, I just need to get this done, this is good, and it's actually a really bad idea. Especially if I'm like tired, which again, easy enough for me to be, because I these days end up getting up at like, or trying to get up at 6:30 to do 2.5 hours of work on the game before I start my day job, and then working on it after work as well. It's easy to hit a mental burnout and kind of just lose track of what actually makes sense and what doesn't. I went off on a bit of a rambly monologue there, didn't I? I was a bit... It's not something I usually do. There you go. Okay. I think we are good for leaf layers. Yeah. So last thing I want to do is I need to fix those leaves. Those damn leaves. Let's grab our selection tool and we're just gonna drag across and deselect the trees. Command X, layer 17, lock that layer just so I make sure I don't paste it back there by accident. And we'll move these back into more or less where they were, which was like there-ish, I think. Fourth now. What you talk about, Adam? What you talk about, Willis? I have no idea how old that message is. I apologise, friend. I lose track of the Twitch chat easily because YouTube is so much more interactive. YouTube audience is great. Actually, this is quite good. I think we can fill in some more space with like random stuff later in Photoshop. So for the time being, I think what I want to do is go into each of the tree layers, grab the trees and their respective floorings, and we're going to colour pick them with the front layer. Now you might think I'm insane doing that, but trust the process, trust the process. Trees 2. Let's make sure we select all of these. And will I select the front layer again? Let's just make sure that that's the floor as well. like that. And yeah, you're probably thinking, Cuba, what on earth are you doing? This is a mess. Everything looks the same. You can't tell the difference between anything. But it's for a very good reason, and it's because we're simply gonna change the opacity of stuff. So it'll bring the effect of fog as things move further back with this gradient background as well. So it might be worth me actually taking that background gradient and moving it down a bit. Thanks very much, man. I appreciate it greatly. I'm glad you enjoy the stream and interacting as well. Like I say, the feedback is priceless. I can't get enough of it, and especially support from you guys as well. It means the world. Having people who are interested and care about the projects that I'm working on, and keeping me accountable as well for what I'm working on. Yeah, I can't thank people enough for that. I can't put it into words how much it means when people stop by like yourself and say hi, give feedback, and all the rest of it. So yeah, thanks very much indeed. I think we're good to move to Photoshop, you know. I'm just going to disable the foliage layer, although I imagine it will probably stick about. Let's just do a quick save on that. I haven't saved the whole time. We are going to File, Export, Export As, and we're going to export as a PSD. Photoshop, PSD, and art development. We want to write layers, maximize editability, and this is a 4K image, just to precursor to people. 4K image, 4K file in Illustrator. Okay. Now we can play about with some things like shadows and gradients and a little bit of grain, some fun shading things, which is going to be hard to do because I don't have my my graphical tablet. I say mine, I mean my brother's, which I steal from him from time to time. I only have my mouse. So we're gonna have some fun. Gonna have some fun playing about and seeing if we can make things happen. So, art development. And where is it? There it is. Look at that, it's included all of our colours and whatnot. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Glad you're enjoying it. If you would be willing to hit the subscribe button, it would really mean a lot and help me out. Help me out a lot as well with reaching my goal. Now this is a problem. It's kept all the layers, but it's messed up the resolution of stuff. Messed up the scaling. Oh god! No. Stop. Zoom out. There we go. So, let's see what I can do about this if I'm being smart. Artboard. Gonna make a new artboard, which I want to be 4K. Oh, I'm gonna have to Google the resolution again. Standard 4K resolution. Can never remember what 4K is ever. 3840 by 2160. 840 by 2160. Wait a minute. Whoa. Okay, let's try this. Try this out. I feel like this is the most ridiculous way to do things. Oop. Okay, that's something. We can disable the colors layer because we don't need it. Let's just look at what the size of our artboard is. If I can remember how to access properties. Oh, I don't want to look at width and height in centimeters. I want it to be in pixels. Don't like Photoshop because it shows me things like this. I want to make sure the background's transparent. I just want to make sure it's definitely 4K, because this did not come out as 4K. But it's definitely a 4K image. Trying to decide what's going to be best to do for the sake of the stream. If it makes sense for me to keep flapping about trying to figure out how this works, which, oh god, that could take me a while. Leaves 1, you should be in here. Above trees 1. I think we can go with it. Question is, can I brush onto these layers? I can. Awesome. Okay, so what we're gonna do, because I can't confirm that my artboard is the size I want it to be, let's just do the business. Let's just do the business. What are you? You're a leaves layer. You're a leaves layer. Oh, they're not the same, they're just very similar. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to disable the play zone. I'm basically going to disable everything. And we're just going to work our way through the layers, filling in gaps, pretty much. So, start with bushes 1. Color pick that. Get our brush. And we're just gonna up the size a whole bunch, so it's nice and big. Let's make it hard as well. And we'll just paint in the gaps. And what we'll probably do as well is just stick in some random scale circles along some edges, and it should look good. No worries, man. It was a pleasure having you here. Nice to be chatting with you as well and getting your feedback on the game, and always nice to say happy to a new face. So yeah, thanks very much for stopping by. Hopefully, like you say, I'll see you in the next one. It's always nice. I'm trying to think how long I have actually. Time we're looking at, it's coming up to 9, so if we go for like 30 more minutes, give or take. I'd quite like to get as much of this done as I can in terms of getting the shading done and moving it across to Unity as well, so that you guys can have a see of what it will look like when it's completed. Who have we still got? Anyone who's still hanging about, say hi. If you are watching avidly. Gonna need to drop my brush size a bit here. That was probably a bit dramatic. Just pull up my play zone to remind myself what I'm working with here. So obviously the main reason that I'm filling the main reason that I'm filling these gaps in is so that when the parallax effect is happening, we don't end up with weird sticky outy bits or weird gaps in environment. Howdy, Assassin Gamer. You seem like a new face as well. I haven't seen your name tag in chat before. Have you been to one of the streams? Been on one of the streams before? There we go. That's good for the green light. Oops. Honestly, I hate how much lag I get. Let's just quit out of Illustrator real quick. So that's not eating a load of stuff. Hit save there. Tell you something we can do. Fair dues, fair dues. It's understandable. Either way, glad to have you here. What am I doing? What we are going to do, we're going to sort out these tree layers with their opacities. So, as we get further back, we might change the colour of these as well. Further back we go, the lower the opacity. So let's drop this down to say 60. There we go. And then trees 2. Drop down to maybe 75. I think the issue is probably going to play in where these start overlapping weirdly, and we'll end up with these lines. In which case I might have to go in and do the shading myself, because obviously we don't want trees showing up between trees. That would not be great. Yeah, we'll do it manually, except for this back layer. I'm gonna let this back layer be transparent. Trees 3, stick him down at 80, so we've got a bit of this bit of the background showing through nicely. I feel like Bob Ross. Oh, I haven't got my sun. Ah, darn it. Oh well. We press onwards. Bushes 2. Get the big brush back out again. Oops. Start filling in some of this space. Make sure we cover all of the gaps. It's quite peaceful, to be honest. Gonna re-enable this front layer occasionally so I can see where I need to cover up. Whoops, that one went a bit too far. Need a smaller brush when I come back to this one. Bit of lag. Been here from the first devlog. Oh, awesome. That's brilliant. That's put a smile on my face, that has. That's cool to know. What are you thinking so far? Are you enjoying the process? I can only imagine you are, otherwise you probably would have left by now. But worth checking. Either way, I hope you have, because I'm having a whale of a time. I always feel like I sound sarcastic sometimes, but I hope I don't. I hope I don't. I am being sincere. It honestly is, like, it's so cool to have you guys, especially. Again, even though the channel is small, even like knowing that there's people who've been here from the start, because it's been a couple of months now. It was a month this Sunday just gone since the project corrupted, which was, you know, absolutely tragic. But it's nice knowing that there's people watching and people holding me accountable, as well as myself, obviously, because I gotta hold myself accountable somewhat. But it's really cool knowing that there's people about who are watching and enjoying and either learning from my own mistakes or just interested in playing the game. It's really cool. Oh, cool, awesome. Sounds like you're doing something pretty similar to the way I've approached things then. What channels are you binging out of interest? Because it's always interesting to see how other devs are doing stuff. Let's grab the big boy again. Let's take it way up. Oops, not that far up. You know what, 400's good. 400's good. All of them. Nice. It's the only way. I can only assume that includes Danny, of course. Has to include Danny. He's like the biggest game dev YouTuber ever. Of course, Bracky's. Rest in peace, Bracky's channel. Shall be missed. Thinking about like all of the channels that I watched, because I've been probably learning game dev for like nearly 10 years now, maybe like 8 or 9 years. Big rip. Yeah, I've been learning Unity and programming. And all sorts for ages. Like, I can't even remember specifically when I started. All I know is that we had Minecraft on the computers when I was in primary school, and from that I started making mods, and that's what got me into programming, which, you know, slowly snowballed into me finding Scratch at school, high school, which led to me finding Stencil, which is like Scratch on steroids, and then from that finding Unity and starting to make more ambitious things. But just slowly working through the levels, basically. Let's fill all of this in. These leaves are going to be way easier to do. Game Maker and a bunch of tutorials. Nice. That's the attitude to have. Gotta be a tinkerer to enjoy something like this. Are you making your game in Game Maker at the moment then, or have you moved over to Unity or some other engine, Godot maybe? Godot, yeah. It's getting a lot more popular now. I haven't actually used it personally, but I've seen a lot of people raving about it and using it, of course, like Mrs. or whatever his name is. I'm sure you probably know the guy I'm on about. The guy who does the 4 devs use the same art pack stuff. I know he's a Godot user, and DevDuck as well. Love DevDuck. Ah, fair dues. Does Godot use Python then? Because if it does, I did not know that. That's kind of cool. Because yeah, for me, Unity was easier because it's C# and the first language that I did anything in and was the most familiar with was Java. And as anybody nerdy techie knows, C# is kind of Microsoft's response to Java. So it was easier for me to get my head into it and learn the ropes. Who? DevDuck? Ah, okay, got you. Wait a minute. Whoa, there's a stray black circle. How did I miss that? So many layers of leaves. It's mad. Let's just boop. Like, no, not like that. Get the circle in the right place. There we go. Let's cover it up. And last one. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, like I say, I haven't really looked into it ever because I'm just so comfortable with Unity. But probably for the 2D stuff as well, it's pretty good, right? I don't know what it's like for 3D. I know I definitely want to do a 3D game after this one. I've got like a full game plan written out for the game that I want to do after this one. I'm just making sure that I get this one done because, as I was saying earlier, I have a bad habit of starting projects and not finishing them for one reason or another. But I know Unity is brilliant for 3D, of course, because that's it's kind of in the name. But I don't know how Godot is for 3D. Unity's more powerful. Yeah, makes sense. I can imagine Godot catching up though, if I'm honest. Relatively sharpish. Okay, let's work on some shading. So I have to figure out how to use the gradient tool now, and also where the gradient tool is. I think it's here. Yeah. That's not what I wanted to do. Look at that. Kind of crazy fog. 2D is really good. Fair dues, fair dues. It may well be interesting for me to look into some other engines at some point, just for, you know, curiosity's sake. Whoops, let's delete that. I have no idea how this works, but I know I want that to be black. So what we're doing here is just creating a simple gradient that goes from black to white, so we can kind of come around some of the edges in these bushes and give them a bit of filling. So I'm going to start with bushes 1. We're going to use the magic select tool, because that's got to be a thing, right? Where is magic wand tool? There we go. So I can just click on the green bush and it will select it. And we are just going to kind of go through with the gradient tool. If I can find it. Where is it? There it is. One thing I want to know is if I can... no. Oh, why doesn't it do anything? Is what I'm going to find out. It is doing something. I'm just being an idiot. Nah, doesn't look like it is. Make a new layer. Will it do something there? Yes, it will. And I can make multiple. So I want to have some really nice, easy, like shading coming in like that from different angles. So let's enable our play zone again, so we can... It might be better to do this with a brush actually, like a really soft brush. I think that makes more sense. And then we can kind of come around the edges, like so. It's like some ambient occlusion, basically. Stick some up in the entrance as well. This is going to be interesting to see how this comes out, because I have never done anything kind of like this before. This is my first time actually doing like a vector art style 2D game. I usually go for pixel art, and certainly the predecessor to this game, or like birth child to this game, Bloodstone, which is what the channel kind of originally started out doing, was developing this game called Bloodstone, which followed a similar kind of premise of doing a thing to achieve ultimate glory. I need a bigger circle. That's much better. Yeah, Bloodstone, which was a full pixel art game that did look quite a lot like Downwell to start with. I was going to do some tweaking down the line to make it a bit more varied and you know, of its own style, but Downwell was a large inspiration for that. Use black for shadows, that's what I'm doing. Got my black brush, just with like a really high feather, so I can get in here and do some fun shadowy things on a different layer, of course, because if we do it on the same layer, it's not gonna look good. Kind of thinking I should have done it without that edge select, but oh well. I can come back and fix things later. Let's go to bushes 2. which we are going to do much the same way. I feel like it's too much feather that I've got on there now though. I need like a nice middle ground. So I can just dot this darkness in. Yeah, there we go. I don't want to be painting directly onto the layer. Oh, I'll tell you what I need to be doing is using a layer mask. That makes a lot of sense. A layer mask of the same shape as the what's-the-majignets bushes that I'm placing my shadows onto. I can imagine my girlfriend watching me doing this and being like, oh my god, what is he doing? Because she's a graphic designer, so she knows much more what she's doing than I do. But me being the stubborn developer I am, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it all. Trust me. And then it doesn't look as good as it could. She does help me a lot though, she's good. Is a good one. What I might do to the shadows, just to make them look a bit more interesting, is give them like a grain, kind of almost like a halftone effect. But I won't use halftone because that won't be quite right. But just to add a little more texture to the bushes as well. Whoops. Having these shadow layers. Stop. Stop. Honestly, it's so slow. Yeah, having these shadowy layers be a little more gritty looking. I can hear the fans on one of my computers starting to take off. I don't know if it's my laptop, which I'm using to track the YouTube stream, or if it's my MacBook. It's my MacBook. Oh god. Now this is a really ham-handed way of doing shadows, but I'm kind of liking it. It's cool in a lot of places. There's some places where it's not quite as cool as in others because I've got my distances wrong. But oh my days, please stop. There we go. Places where I might be a bit too strong as well. And of course places where it isn't strong enough. What would have probably been easier is to just whack like a drop shadow or something on the layers above. Actually makes a lot of sense now I think about it, and I still can. Because this is all on its own layers. Just as long as they don't get like lost in the noise. And we can do some things with blend modes and transparency as well to make it sit a little better. I suppose that's the joy of learning on the job. Kind of just do things as we go. Yeah, there's some bits that I'm gonna want to clean up around here, but we'll work on it. We'll work on it as we're going. Like up here, especially. Let's let's do that now actually. Let's just grab a real large eraser. Just kind of spam click. Soften this up a bit more. You know what? Let's make it even bigger. Just kind of do that all round. Really minimal difference it's making, but it is just softening some of these edges a little bit. And we'll do the same for the top layer as well. Nope, nope, nope. Just want to make sure I'm not going too overboard. So I've just realised I read your post, your message in chat wrong, and it said never use black for shadows because it makes it look muddy, and that's true, probably. But the reason I'm doing it is because I'm going to mess with transparency and blending modes. Because what I don't want to do is end up picking a shadow color or spend ages picking a shadow color that doesn't fit, or then get to the point where I've decided on a shadow color and suddenly I decide I want to change the entire color scheme of the game or the area, because that would suck. And obviously then I'd have to pick out a new shadow color, and it's just a lot of time then being used up. So if I use black and use transparency and blend modes, I can change colors without it having any great effect on the overall end result, because it will basically just be darkening the color that I've got, rather than what's I saying? Rather than the previous situation that I described just then, where it's like, oh no, I need to change my shadow colors now. Oh, my eyes are starting to get sleepy. I think I'll finish up after I've done this layer, and we'll call it a day. I think we're trailing off now anyway. But this was a pretty damn good stream. We've had some good interactivity coming in. I'm a happy boy. I'm moving pretty quickly here, just because I want to get stuff in and get stuff done. We can always go back in and polish stuff more later, but I want to just get the shadows in, so I can get an idea for the sense of depth and have a play about with the general feel of the scene and get it into Unity as well. I'll tell you what, we'll do that as the last thing. We'll do a bit of a cheat. Actually, no. I'll do that next stream or in the devlog. or as an Instagram post. Which, if you're not following on Instagram already, Superdog Studios. Link on screen. I think it actually has dots in it, and I've done it completely wrong on my overlay. In which case, I will just update my username on Instagram rather than update the overlay, because it's way more effort to do that than it is to just update my handle on Instagram. But this is cool. It's almost starting to look kind of like a storybook, which I think actually will be a really nice art style. I could possibly stick some paper texture overlays in as well, and it'll start looking really, it'll start to really come alive at that point. Look at that. So we've got some nice depth coming in now. I'll need to do a similar thing to these shadows as we've done with the bushes, in the sense that I'll need to go through and like fill in the gaps to make sure they're all filled nicely, and we don't get any weird shadow gaps when the parallax kicks in. But what we will do, just quickly, before I end off the stream, is, like I said, have a play about with some of these blending modes, and also add some blur to this shadow. So if I just re-enable bushes 2, I've done this shadow stuff kind of in the wrong order in terms of where my layers are placed, but what we'll do, I'm just going to grab this layer and we're going to do a blur, and I think a Gaussian blur. We can just massively up the blur radius on this, make it really something. That might be too much, but you get the idea of what we're trying to do here. Let's try this again. Got the preview on. Oops, I just applied it. I don't want to apply it. Or maybe I do. Let's have a looky. What can I do here? Darken makes it a bit softer. If I make it soft light, that actually is quite nice. Hard light. Hard mix is disgusting. Difference. Exclusion, subtracts. Look at that. Gives it a white glow. I think probably we'll want to go with something like not light nor screen, because that makes it brighter. Probably something like soft light, and then we can play about with the opacity a bit. To make it soft. Let's go like 75. And then let's see what... Whoopsie daisy. Stay in the help box, please. Let's look at filter, noise, add noise. Possibly not add noise. We want to look for. But potentially. How do I do a halftone again? There's no preview. Let's hope for the best. Huh, look at that. That's kind of cool. So you don't even notice it very far out, but it's this kind of comic book look. It's quite fun, quite playful. I might play about with that, you know. I'm gonna undo it for now and just leave it as the shadow because it's it looks pretty good as is. We'll copy that same setting across to the other bushes, but yeah, for the time being, that's where I'm gonna leave the stream off, guys. So yeah, thanks very much for coming along, everyone who did. Thanks for all of the talk and chat as well. It's been really good talking with all of you guys. It's nice to see some more interaction coming out as well, and being able to have some proper conversations with everybody. It's really, yeah, it's really enjoyable, and it's nice seeing this game coming into shape as well. So yeah, thanks very much for stopping by. Like I said before, we are aiming to release the pre-alpha in like 2 weeks time. It'll be 2 weeks Tuesday. I'll do a live stream about it, is the plan, and then the following Saturday will be when you'll be able to get your hands on a copy. Yeah, if you're not subscribed already, please do. It would massively help us out. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers by the time we do that pre-alpha release. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure to watch the devlogs if you haven't already, and keep your eyes out for another one. I am going to try and do one this Saturday, I swear. I've just been a bit slow getting stuff out because I've been busy with work and just other stuff as well, some more freelancing work as far as music goes, which is cool. But yeah, hopefully I'll have the time this week to get an actual devlog out where we'll talk more about everything that we've been talking about in this stream, but in a more coherent manner. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. I will see you in the next one. Cheers.